Well, same day. I finished up the video for the previous recording in the day and then in the evening. This is the new Inktober day 4, which I'm one day behind every one of them on Dodge. Yeah, so let's kind of get into it. This is the Dodge. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of inspiration for this one. It was a little bit more um tricky to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with Dodge, but it turns out in my searching of just Dodge and trying to not think about the car or dodging in a video game, there's a bunch of things that I could have done, but I wasn't really loving it. I did come across this album or song, The Little Old Lady from Pasadena on a 45 vinyl, and I kind of like the look of it. I thought that'd be fun to replicate, and I was jamming out to this while I was essentially making the material. So this is sort of the material kind of in the same style of what that album was. And along with that, I think I got in the actual Dodge one, I think I got the animation per the rotation per 45 goes to a minute and 45, I think, rotations. So that might be the right speed. It might not be. I'm not a music buff. Nobody come after me. It's not my jam, as they would say. But yes, it rotates quite quickly when you run it in the utility widget. I'll give it a run now and drag it over. Might be a little too fast for most folks' sake. I found it really entertaining, interesting, weird use of noise here, kind of including noise into the mix. So, fun little material that's probably poorly made. Let's take a look at how I made it. Hopefully in this video we'll have less ums, since listening to me say 8 million times is glorious in all the other videos. We'll go to the very basics here. This is generally drawing the shape, the alpha shape. This is going to be our classic vinyl. Get over here. Starts. So that's going to draw the actual shape. And essentially, I like named reroute nodes, but I find they're too much effort, and I would just rather drag things. And this just plugs all the way into the alpha to then turn this into that. Let's also zoom in on this so we can see it a little bit better in detail. And I also take the shape of here, and I added the wave utility. So this is going to give us a bunch of spirals. Add the noise to them. I was trying something with sections to maybe get a glowing rim or a light rim around the vinyl, which often happens, but I just wasn't quite thrilled with some of the effects there. So this then combines the regular shape with those rings with some noise. So that's essentially building the base of it. Now to layer, then on top of that, we need to have this inner ring that is actually right the album title information and stuff in this inner ring part. So with that in mind, we need another circle. So we draw another circle, and then here's more of the noise. I can totally should make a function and reuse this noise. Right, it's going to give a little bit of that juicy goodness, so it's not a solid circle. And now we're starting to play with shapes. So now I've got the red, got the imitation vinyl lines. I don't love that style. Again, I wasn't in love with doing this. It's one of these funny things. Slowly over building it together, I kind of liked it more and more. This part was, let's see what we're making over here. So we're making the little side part where we're going to put a gradient. So this is taking that circle from the inner circle here. I reuse that And in here, it's just a gradient that then I apply the noise to, and I'm just taking the R channel out of a texture UV, clamping, doing basically using smooth step to turn the gradient this way, and then um, combining it with the circle to then mask out only the part of the circle, and that turns into the mask for the lerp. And from the mask for the lerp is a little curve atlas. This is going to be the colors that I wanted to mimic for the album. So, right, the gradient that goes here, the green to the blue to the purple to the orange to the yellow. Replicated that in this curve up here. And instead of the curve being horizontal, all I need to do is grab the um, vertical part of the gradients, and I have to reverse the order. It's just in the wrong order. So I invert it by 1 minus, and I need to shift it a little bit and shorten it, and essentially it should give us, you can see, kind of like squishes it in the middle, but that's exactly where I need the gradient to be because the gradient's not the full length of the image. And that gives us it right here along with that. Then we're building more shapes on top of shapes, right? So over here, let's take a look. I think this is the bars. Yes, this is like font bars. I kind of wanted to imitate these letters here to kind of almost be random boxes rather than actual type. I like that aesthetic personally. So this is a grid tiling. So perhaps this is something that doesn't work properly with the node here in random. There's something going on here where this didn't work. Um, but I'm using a grid. I'm shifting and moving its position with the translate, and then using random in the floor to offset it. But if you set this to 1, which is what I wanted it to do, it actually doesn't work correctly. Or it wasn't working correctly. For some reason, the random wasn't right. But now it looks like it's working. Let's change this to 10. Oh, it's totally working. Well, then that should work, but I made this for 2. Oh well. Yeah, just animate these little things. We use time displace into the seed of random, and this is going to spit us out randomly generated time displacing gray values, and then we're going to animate the size of the SDF box. We're going to animate so if A is the x-axis and B is the y-axis, we are now randomly animating the y-axis up and down, and that's what's making them grow larger or smaller, right? Because that's the random thing. So we're adding 0 to 1 to all of these little things here. And 50 seemed about the right number to kind of get the visual density that I wanted here. Add the spectacular noise, multiply it to the inner circle, right? Because the inner circle is what we're using. Do the lerp to combine it all. And voila, now we're layering on top the various graphical elements. And the last element to make is the Liberty little box. So the Liberty box. So I should stop also saying so. That's okay. We'll go here. That's this little box right here. So taking another translate, slanting the box a bit. I thought that would make it a bit more interesting, a little bit slanted. Scaled it to the right size. So I positioned it where I wanted it, scaled it to where I wanted it. Apply that noise, and then add a color. And the color here is kind of this burntish, faded yellow. And that essentially makes it all work. And then the opacity is clipping out where it exists. So that is the visual representation of Dodge. I don't know if I love it animating, but it was nice. So again, running the editor utility widget, this is where I landed. Um, Dodging on a vinyl record that plays the little old lady from Pasadena. And with that, I'm dodging on out of here.